Hey everybody, welcome to another Retro Game Night podcast. I am player one, Damien DeCarlo. I have player two with me today, Earl Lawrence. What's up?
Hey, what's up, man? How are you doing?
We're doing good, man. Look at our backgrounds. We're
Good.
ready to roll on this.
We're
We
there.
got we got monsters, aliens, guys with guns. Behind me, you have gold cartridge Zelda and old school NES. There's
Cool.
no wondering what we're going to talk about, but
Yeah. Look at that
but
cord
I'll
on the NES controller, right? How crazy is that? Now everything's all
it never fails to impress me.
yeah,
The days of when we only had like two buttons.
right.
I'm just like, how in the world did we make this happen?
And you have it plugged in, and your family or whoever is there, and they're like, "Hey, don't go too close to the TV," or they'll walk by and disconnect the cord, and you're like, "Oh, I gotta pause,"
Oh,
and you can't pause it.
worst. Oh
Oh,
man,
the
because
good
those
old
things
days
used to
when
come out
cords.
so easily from this port.
Yep, the good old days. Yeah.
Super excited. I can't wait to talk about it. We'll just get right into it. We're gonna do a review, a rate and review of Contra for the NES.
Ooh,
You
Contra.
know,
What a classic NES game.
we have I'm sure a lot of fond memories and a lot of opinions about this game, especially looking back now in 2022. So
Yeah.
I'll just get a little bit into what the wiki brings out about some known facts about Contra. So Contra is a run and gun shooter video game developed by none other than Konami.
Mhm.
Originally developed as a coin operated arcade game in 1986, it had a home version released for the NES in 1988. The arcade game was so successful worldwide, becoming one of the top four highest grossing dedicated arcade games of 1987. So this thing saw some serious commercial success. There's been several Contra sequels since then.
Yeah,
It is known for being extremely difficult, which
very.
we got a taste of because Earl and I played again recently this game.
And
But then
I couldn't have done it without the cheats. Just saying.
I was just about to say, I take no shame here. And
No shame in the
this
game.
podcast, we've always said that from the start. It's about completing the game, getting the feel again. So we do save states, we do cheats.
Yeah,
More about the experience and going back to nostalgia than to actually, challenge ourselves, I guess you could say, because we've been there, frustrated kids
yeah.
there, just playing this thing.
And going back, it did take me 2 resets to actually put the cheat in. I was like, okay, let me just try it out. And of course, you tried it. And it again, this game is all about timing. The control is very real too. It's very, it simulates when you really want to jump and do any of the character moves, and you see all this stuff coming at you. It's very sensitive for what it was for a 8-bit game at the controller just A/B function. But yeah, they
Yeah,
did.
it's the first shooter that I can think of that had just only two buttons, and it was just like jump and shoot, and anything that would hit you, anything. It could be a fly in
Yeah,
this world, you would be just dead.
fun.
Which was 100% the most popular thing about this game. It was near damn impossible. So before I get into the game a little bit, I wanted to talk about some facts more looking back now. The game's main popularity, which some may know, is that it's two-player simultaneous cooperative gameplay. It was the first one that
Mhm.
that I can recall that was a run and gun in this nature.
Right.
So another aspect of the game's huge success was its motif and inspiration. Contra is mainly inspired by a combination of three
Right.
hugely popular contemporary action films, and I'm going to take people back with this:
Yep.
Commando,
Hmm.
Rambo, and Aliens, which
Yes.
is no duh.
All classic movies.
Totally.
All and I don't at this point, which came first?
This
Right? Did the
came,
movies come first,
yeah.
or
So
did
the
the game
first
first? Because I
Alien
feel
was
like
the first Alien came out at the end of the 70s. I want to say 78 or 79.
okay.
Commando and Rambo right around this time. I want to say
Mhm.
Rambo came out right in this year that this game came out,
Yeah.
if not the year before. Um,
And if you
it was,
think back to the cover, the actual art display, which
yeah,
I was gonna put it on my background, but today I was like, let's choose a little something more. more modern a little bit, just get some fan art out there. But yeah, if you think about the original cover, you have two guys on the cover, right?
Right.
One is this blonde-haired, muscular guy just holding a gun and looks like, right? You're going to looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger, right?
Completely.
So,
And then you
Commando.
had the guy with the dark hair with the
Yeah,
bandana on, and he looked
right.
like Sylvester Stallone,
Stallone.
which so happened to be two of the biggest action stars during this time. So it makes the most sense.
And of course, you play it co-op mode, then you could be either one. I think player one was Bill, and he was
Right.
Arnold, the blonde haired with the commando, and he had the hair tie or that thing around his hair. Yeah, and same player two was Lance. Lance was the dark haired guy, but
Right.
yeah, they both were this muscular, and you would see them pop out of the stage, right? Once they start, they drop you in this stage, and they're just right out of this helicopter. Like,
Just
here we go, we're
right
gonna
out.
attack, just guns blazing. Like, here we go. Yeah.
I was gonna say, what we're gonna do is kind of break down a couple of the, if not all of the levels here, but very
Yeah.
briefly. But the first level, I'll just say straight up, it was just there's no storyline, there's no little cinema thing, no slideshow. You just go and run and gun right from the start.
Yep.
Get dropped in, and the music is very, very Konami. It's very reminiscent of like games of like the old Metal Gear Solid, the original for NES, or not Solid, but Metal Gear. And it was just already from the start. You're like, congratulations, whoever got through the first level. It was so damn hard to play this.
You don't need Mountain Dew. The music would get you flowing, right? But it's that too. It's a Friday night, you're with your friends or you're with your family, brother, whatever it is, sister, and you just got the video game going on and you're just playing at home, and you hear the music go off and it comes with the title screen. It's just Contra, like 1 or 2 player. It's very straight to the point. You get in, you choose it brings you on stage 1. And I think that the whole, you get this like feel like, oh yeah, here we go, we're about to go into war.
Yeah.
Let me choose this person, let's just run amok. But yeah,
Funny enough, looking back, and I remember this just because I was alive during this time, Contra and I want to say Narc in the arcade and also NES were known as very violent video games. There was a big concern of that being violent. So it's just funny looking back when you see it, you're like, man, that's if they only knew what was to come.
yeah, the gore now, or the gore recent right after, was not as severe as what this was. But yeah,
First one pops in my head that would be anything like this would be Gears of War. Like that was ugly, gruesome greatness. It was just like, holy crap, this is gory.
I had thought Doom, because you see the little, your character on the bottom too. You'll see his face, and like if he's hurt, he'll start to show his face being all bloody. But you're walking through these hallways on a 2D, and you're shooting, and you're going through this, killing monsters or whatever. But that's, I think, what Contra did, and what Contra brought out also. It brought out all these other types of games that this game had a huge following, and it was a successful hit. People wanted to play this game. And I think it's overall, that's part of the reason why we're probably talking about it, because it's such that OG retro classic game. When you think about run and gun shooter games, this one, immediately comes to mind. No matter what part of your life you're playing it, you're like, I remember that. Whether if you were an older gentleman and you played with your son, and he was like, all right, let's play this, dad, and vice versa. If you had your brother and you're growing up, and whatever it is, and you're just seeing it, you're seeing family members just play, you're just like, that reminded me of this game. Like, I had that, all those feels. Wow, I'm starting this game up just to do a review, but I remember, and I could count back to those years. Man, I can remember seeing this game, and we're all surrounding the TV, and my dad wants to play it, or my brother's playing it, and we're playing this together on co-op mode. And by the way, I think co-op mode was a little bit harder, just because you had to strategically be with this person, because if you're not together, you could die because someone's now leaving, or someone's
dragging the screen along.
They're dragging the screen along. And of course, if you drag the screen along, then if you're not within that person's realm, then you either die or you fall down to the bottom. And of course, you die because you fell.
Yeah. Those fun things. Oh man, it's so funny looking back. I'm sure you played a lot of this with your brother. I played with all my cousins. Like,
there you go.
I grew up with my cousins like very close by. They always used to come by. And this particular game with 2 of my cousins were just like a major, like, we got to play Contra. And that was just kind of cool that this wasn't like I'm thinking of the older games like the original Mario Brothers, like not
Mhm.
Super Mario, but the OG Mario Brothers, or another game where it's like you're kind of versus each other. You're trying to like kind of compete, but this is like you're working together.
You have to. You have to on this
You
game.
have to kind of strategically be on the same screen. And we're talking back then, guys. This is
Yeah.
no
And you're
widescreen
getting upset.
16
You're like,
by
dude, you're supposed to
9.
follow me, or you're supposed to shoot up. You're supposed like you're like, oh, like we're
we're
supposed to.
all we're all crowded by this 4:3 screen size, 4:3 aspect ratio
Yeah.
TV and CRT television to keep up
Mhm.
with each other. And that, man, those were the days.
Sure.
So so let's just get into it. So like the first game or the first level, like we said, you're like kind of like in the jungle, then you got like the water and the bridge that
Yeah.
explodes. Um
The
level
dense
2,
forest.
level
Yeah.
2, whoever, congratulations, whoever made it to level 2.
Yeah.
um it was pretty awesome. It turned into like this 2D sort of 3D third person view.
This
And you're
was cool, I thought,
yeah,
because you're in this, and it's a base, right? So base one, I think that's what
yes,
they also refer to it as labyrinth, and you're shooting, and there's things that are coming at you, and it's not a left to right scroll necessarily.
you at the bottom.
You're more at the bottom, like north south, like things are coming at you from the top, but it's the first version of like, oh my gosh, this is possibly 3D, but it's not because you're still moving, two-dimensional and things are coming at you. But it just gives this like stage of like like as you're looking down at it and you're like, oh, there's people back there, and you're jumping over things that are coming at you.
Right. The
You're
things
trying
on
to
the
avoid
floor coming towards you too.
yeah,
There's just a bunch of stuff happening in this
yeah,
game. There's
yeah.
no place where you have a place to stay and breathe for a minute.
Right.
You have to be
Nope.
jumping, shooting the whole
And you could
time.
crouch, at
And you
this
can crouch at this point. Yeah.
That's right. Because then there wasn't that, you're not going down or whatever, but it was one of those where you see your character on the bottom, and I'll just be like this right here looking on screen, and you just see them moving, and you'd crouch, and then there's things that are just coming at you from like the top, and you're avoiding it. And yeah, I thought it
Yeah.
was
This particular stage, the
hard.
best gun you could have if you had it still saved from the first stage would be that spread shot.
That's the
Because
only gun.
that would be the best one in this particular case, or in any case in this game.
We probably got to talk about all the guns at this point since you brought it up.
Yeah.
But
Go for it.
there's just the regular single shooter, and it's just this pew pew pew. There's the laser, which to me was, you didn't want to get it, but when you got it, you're like, okay, cool, I got the laser, just because it's so powerful. But nothing beats the spread gun, and it's this
Yeah.
3 bullets that would just come out, and it would, literally cover the stage or whatever, the screen that you're on. And for that thing in particular, too, as you're shooting at it, you have all these 3, projectiles coming right at the enemy, and I think
Right.
it covered a lot of ground. But one thing I noticed, and yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, where previous games, if you shoot at another enemy's bullet, then it kind of like cancels each other out. For some reason, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, where if you shot a bullet even with the spread gun and it hit it, for some reason I still think it didn't get
It
through.
didn't do anything. That's the thing
No,
about this game.
yeah.
You had a good shot, you would get the guy on the far end of the screen, but if his shot made it
Bullet
out of
was
that
out.
gun and
Yeah.
it's still traveling, and you happen
had
to
to
be
avoid it.
already, it could be 10 years after this guy's dead, and you jump and you're like, oh crap, here's that one shot he fired.
Yeah.
You're
And-
dead.
Yeah. And then obviously the new games now, they'll counterbalance each other, right? So this was one of those, like, you still had to worry about that projectile coming at you, and that's really all this was. It's a lot of projectiles coming at you. You're just jumping and avoiding these things, and there's
Right.
really no safe spot. You had to keep moving, and you had to move together if you were playing the co-op version. But yeah, base. Okay, so level 2, we'll go to level
Yeah,
3.
so the level 2, and then you ended it with a boss similar to the first boss in the first stage, with just a computer, like some sort of very mad computer at you, throwing fireballs and stuff. So
Right.
the second one, a huge ass computer, near impossible, that floating eye thing, just, and then whatever, then you're done. Let's just say you make it through that.
Yeah.
You make it through that, and then you ride up that little elevator, boom, you go to the third stage, now called the waterfall. So we're back to 2D, and you start climbing. This is where it's crucial if it's two of you.
Yes.
You're climbing these ledges surrounding by water falling everywhere, and these occasional boulders just
Yeah.
tumbling their way awkwardly down. You couldn't find a pattern with them. At this point, I noticed just how dynamic the music, as retro 8-bit it was. It was just like, I felt like I was having an anxiety attack just playing it with the music alone. It was really enthralling and really getting you started. At this point, then you're just going through it.
And you remember Donkey Kong, and that's, one of the stages that reminds me of, because you have to climb up, and you're climbing up, and you're going through, like, you can't just jump and it's a stage. Like there's pit holes, right? So you can't just stay in one spot. And that's what it reminded me of too. Like when you're going through the stage, and I think now Super Mario, to think about it, and other games, how they had this now, it's not 3D, it's still two-dimensional, but you're not just going left to right, but now you're climbing up on a stage. So the stage is you're moving up to get to the boss, and the boss is on the top. But if you fall, then you die. It's one of those you need to stay, maneuver, you still need to follow and do certain things. And while you're doing that, here's like these guns just coming out of the ground, shooting at you in all different directions. And you're like, I don't know which way to go. All I know is I need to go up, and let me try to avoid projectile bullets while I'm going up, or laser beams or laser balls, whatever they want to call those things.
And then you get to the top at this point, and then you're greeted by this little happy little alien guy, and he's just shooting more little fireballs at you.
It turns into this big alien guy.
And let's just say you make it through that. Okay.
Sure.
Just you make it through that.
With your 3 lives. Sure.
With your 3 lives.
Yeah.
Did you go to stage 4, which now is another third-person sequence? Yet again, another base. I guess base 2.
Yeah, that's base 2. Yeah.
Nothing out of the ordinary except, just more goddamn hard following, shooting that you can't really keep up with, and followed by an even harder computer firing more stuff.
Like
and
they just threw more and more stuff at you, and you're just like, oh, what do you do? Panic. And
except this time they had dudes and look like little blue pajamas just running back and forth on the screen too, additionally to the shots from the computer.
They had those, and I guess they converted into aliens, but they wanted to have this. That's the whole base. The Contra was like, you're fighting these aliens or these warriors or these tanks. And again, maybe I'm going a little bit too soon, but yeah, they were the 2 guys, and they were just on top, and now they're converting into other creatures, and now they're throwing stuff or shooting at you, and you're
Mind you, what had just come out this year, which is so funny. I think this game had to have been developed before this, because it came out in 86. Is that what I said? 86 or 87?
87 is when Contra came out, but I think you had
okay. So let's just say they take about a year.
Mm-hmm.
In 80, I want to say 86, if I'm not wrong, came the infamous second movie in the Alien franchise, which was literally just run and shoot everywhere.
Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney Weaver. And so I'm just like, did y'all just time this perfectly? No, there's no way, because this movie came out that year. So I'm like, unless you guys rushed this video game and got it out, it's so similar.
I mean, or they could have just had, people that were in the industry and they knew what was coming out. Again, these games came out so close together, and the movies came out so close together. That's, it just reminds you of that when you're playing. You're like, oh, even though this stage isn't that, right? Because there also were games that came out as aliens. There was Alien versus Predator. There's all those other games, like not Contra related, but Contra to me was that, like, that was that feel.
That was that one. Yeah.
That was one.
Anyway, I mean, I'm sure they saw the trailer when it was coming out, and it was like, ooh, I got ideas for a video game. And so they did it. And there's a lot of similarities, but so you get the big xenomorph looking guy at the end of shooting. Then after that, you go to stage 5. Stage 5 now, if you make it there, congratulations again. You get the obligatory snow stage.
It's the fortress in ice.
Everyone hates a snow stage. I mean, I don't really care for it, and I don't really hate it either. But anyway, thank God, I'll say this: the slippery ledges are not like the Super Mario games. When you land on an icy edge, you start like slipping off the ledge. Right. So this wasn't like that. It was just you jumping and you landed okay. It's just not quite ice, so fine. Then you get a mini boss that looks like this spiky bulldozer thing, and you shoot that, and you'll never guess what's next.
Fortress in Fire?
No, another spiky bulldozer thing.
Oh, well, yeah. Those bulldozers came out of nowhere, and it's one of those.
One's not enough.
Yeah. Here you go, and you're going through the and it goes even more. Oh, the bulldozer. Yeah, you have to like crouch down to shoot it. It was like a tank, but yeah. Good
luck if you got to the first, and now here's the second. So after that, let's just say you get through that.
And it explodes all like as you destroy it.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. And let's not forget, as you're walking around, these ridiculously super annoying loud missile / grenades that are being chucked at you as you're walking. Yeah. With every time you move an inch, it's being another grenade dropped in front of you. Right. Assuming you get through that, then you get the last boss, which is a satellite looking thing.
Uh-huh.
Now,
Yeah.
kids, this isn't that intimidating. It's actually a very easy boss.
Yeah.
It's not as hard as you might think. So let's just say you get through that.
Yeah. And doesn't he come from the sky? Like, right, he comes from like up
Comes from
and
the sky and like floats around. It's just like this little floaty thing, and
just
it
immediately
didn't
start
take long
blasting.
for me at
No.
least to go through it. I was
You
like,
could
oh
jump, you could jump on him, right? I thought, and then start shooting on like from on top. At least that's what I remember. But yeah.
no, you're dreaming.
No.
Stage 6 though,
Okay.
it's just a filler stage. There's nothing major here.
The fire stage.
Nothing out of the
You froze.
ordinary, except the except to tell
You
you the most
froze.
wonderful feature, the most wonderful feature about
Yeah.
stage 6, it's that it's really freaking hard.
They just get harder and harder. But yeah, it's same thing. Fortress and fire. This is different, but it has those spikes. And is this the stage that has that's? Or am I going too soon?
I think you're skipping ahead.
I,
This one I think was just a regular looking sort of platformish metal platform stage. You
yeah.
get to the end, and there's this boss that awkwardly
It's a
skips
robot.
about to kill you.
Yeah, it's a karate kicking robot with like bullhorns.
Is that what he's doing? Because it's looking like
Yeah.
he's just skipping.
He's a
And
little.
for those that aren't watching YouTube, I'm actually skipping right now, and I
Yeah.
can't believe I'm doing that with my
And does
arms.
he? And he shoots at you, or he stomps at you, he kicks at you, and he tries to kill you. And if he touches you, then you're dead.
Yeah, he doesn't even
Okay.
have to kick
Yeah.
anybody. He
Yeah.
just has to breathe on you, and you're dead. So let's see you get through that. Now we're at stage 7, almost to the end, guys. I swear we're almost done. Stage 7, more difficult obstacles. Yes, I did say more difficult, not more of them, just more difficult.
I felt like they got lazy on 7 though.
7 was the one that looks like a factory of some sort.
Yep.
This is the one that had the little spikes that would go down and like,
Spikes, yeah.
try to
time it, you go boop,
stab you.
spike goes down, and you go boop, yeah. But they also had these walls of just spikes, right? And they don't shoot anything at you. Here it is. Like if you die at one of these walls, then you're probably really not a good gamer because they don't move, and that means you walked way too far, right? So, in my opinion, sorry guys if you died on this stage and I just called you out, but yeah, the spikes that were coming down from the ceiling, that was difficult because again, you can't shoot these spikes. They're just there. You just time it right. Like let me walk.
You have to time it right.
Game. Yeah, you walk through the game, make sure and jump over the spikes that are there. Yeah, you couldn't destroy those, but it did add a different level, and it's trying to get you into the whole like, well, are you tired yet? And it's not that, but you can get through this stage and get to the boss round or the last.
Here's where prior games would have served you well, right? As a player, like in the Nintendo age, NES days, like you had this part where those little spikes are coming down. This is very sort of Mario-esque with stuff coming down at you. And if let's say you aced it, you did very well in those parts, you're gonna do fine here.
Ninja Turtles had that.
Ninja Turtles.
Double Dragon had that. You're just walking through, like, oh, avoid it. There's something that's just coming up and down. Yeah.
There was a timing thing. And if you had that down, then, assuming you could get all this way into the game, then you'd be fine here.
Right.
All right. So then what happens after this? You don't get a very intimidating boss. What you get in stage 7 is just several guys by guarding your exit, just trying to doggy pile you.
Yeah.
And they're just coming out, jumping out of nowhere, and you're just gunning them down, and then boom, somehow they explode. I don't know, maybe they're robots, but
they do. And they're in the ceiling. There's like these faces that are on the top, and you kind of shoot them, and they shoot like little beams or little creatures at you.
But there's no point in this game where nothing's not trying to kill you.
But the stage of this particular stage has like bones, and like it looks like aliens is that you're walking on top of, right? And it's not.
Well, now this will be stage 8.
Okay.
Stage 8 is the last stage, people. This is it. We've reached the last of this little review of stuff we've been through. Stage 8, the 8-bit version of what would be a nightmare we would all want to wake up from right away.
Right.
Giant alien in the beginning comes to greet you, giant alien head, just to say hello, as it's vomiting it from its mouth fireballs.
Looks creepy.
This was the hugest thing at this point in the game that came out. It was as in came out of what you're fighting. This gigantic
Like
head.
on
If
the
this was
top corner right here, just
yeah,
like
it was
yeah,
just
it
this
just covers the top
long
corner.
ass head just sticking out, like practically taking up half the screen. And you're like, holy crap, this could be a boss. Nope, it's just the beginning. So you gun this guy down, and then you got these little things that start crawling across the screen towards you. Awfully very, very familiar of a franchise, maybe kind of like with an alien creature that would be like that would want
Alien-esque.
to hug your face or whatever.
Yeah.
Weird. I don't know what franchise that would be.
And the alien spits out aliens from the mouth. Alien-esque. Like it's
Alien-esque. Yeah.
yeah.
Again, I wonder where they got that from. But
Yeah.
yeah, so they have a bunch of those, and assuming you get to all that, which is actually stage 8 is very short, by the way. It's not a very long stage.
No,
You get to a very glowing heartbeat.
that's the boss.
It's the boss.
That's the
Thud,
boss.
thud, boom, boom, kaboom.
It's a heartbeat.
I will say this was not a very difficult boss.
No, but it took
So
you
for
forever to
me,
get there. So
I
when
was
you're
thinking,
there, you're like in full panic mode. Like if you made it to that stage and you're at that point, you're like,
yeah,
here it is, final
you're
boss.
guaranteed to die just out of sheer like anxiety. Like, I can't believe I made it here. Oh, shoot, I died.
Yeah.
So this actually wasn't a very difficult stage. And you get to that boss, you just
wasn't
destroy this heartbeat. And then you're thinking, okay, cool. This is that mini boss before the real boss. No, the game is over. The game is over, my friends. Once this happens, once you kill the big heartbeat, that's literally it. That is the end of the game.
Here comes more music, here comes credits, and
you have the oddly out of place, cheerfully delightful music, I guess, celebrating that you got this far with some credits, and then that's it. And
the ending was anticlimactic.
It was actually a very weak ending boss, I must say.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, you get to brag to your friends, if this even existed, that you did this, that you actually beat the game.
And they won't believe you.
They won't believe you.
Like, oh, well, you know you didn't, or whatever.
There's no screen recording. There's no Twitch streams, guys. Unless they were there, it didn't happen.
Right.
So that's where it's fun to have your friends there. Mm-hmm. This game was really, really cool to go back again in 2022 in my, I'm very old. So in my old age, this was really, really fun.
What were you, like 5 when the game came out? Come on, you're not that old.
No, I was about, I want to say I was in my late 30s when this one came out. So yeah.
Aged really well. Just saying.
Yeah. Just a little bit age. And if anyone has seen me in YouTube or Instagram, they'll know that that's a lie. Anyway, I had fun with this game. I really enjoyed playing it through. I'm really happy we did a review. I want to give big nods to the creators. Konami has consistently made really great games. Yeah. I mean, they're still doing it today. Like Hideo Kojima has been a huge factor in this with Metal Gear and the whole franchise. We've had great games like Turtles and, all because of Konami and what they've done. So I would say this was definitely a great game. The arcade game had a little bit more to it, I think, from what I remember, as far as like visually. But I mean, for being a home console, this thing really put those graphics out. It was top notch for its time. So
it was. I think the graphics was it. I think the music and the sound and all the hype when you play it, you get that feel like this is an awesome game. I'm gonna kick ass and I'm gonna be this commando and just go guns blazing everywhere. I think it's just
this would be your game.
This would be the game. Yeah. And it's one of those, like, there's no love story involved. There's nothing. You're just trying to survive, right? There's nothing at the end that matches like, oh, you have to do all these other different things and different. No, you just go through these stages, you just dominate, and that's what you do. You survive. I thought that was really, really cool twist also. And I'm sure, it's that, like, it probably didn't appeal to the masses, but I mean, I could probably second guess that, but I'm not sure. Again, that's up for debate. Comment if you want, but I think this game really, really was awesome. But
yeah, I mean, it was so big to start, I guess, the franchise. I'll tell you this: there's a Contra Anniversary Collection which has been released for almost all platforms, including the Nintendo Switch.
Ooh,
cool. I would definitely say to pick that up if you guys haven't played it. This comes with the arcade version of Contra, Super Contra, Contra North America, Contra Japan, which actually I hear is a little different. They have some differences in the beginning and the end. I believe sequences, they have added a few things, or I should say they had it originally and they took it away from North America. Who knows why? Super C, Contra 3, which was for Super Nintendo, Operation C, Contra Hardcore, Super Probector, Alien Rebels, and Probobector. So
have you played all the other Contras?
I have skimmed through them. When I say skim, that means me dying in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So I would still love to play it. I know that a lot of these games now are coming out with a rewind feature or a save state, which is why I don't feel so bad us playing this with save states or cheats, because hey, Nintendo even sees, this is freaking difficult, guys. I'm sorry we did this.
And I'm sure they had a lot of competition, which they do for a lot of video games now. Like a lot of the retro games, they try to say, hey, beat this game in a certain amount of time. I know I kind of glimpsed at something where I saw someone on YouTube and there was a co-op and they finished it in like 10 minutes, which you think about that playing it then, they're obviously they're just running through the stage and not trying to, kill everything in sight. But yeah, I think that's also, something that, when we talk about retro, people still play these games and now they're thinking about all these other side challenges, side challenges of like, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? Or, can you, whatever. But yeah, it's crazy to think someone beat it in 10 something minutes as a co-op. You really had to be, one-on-one, like with your person and playing it really well. But I thought that was incredible to see. Yeah.
To pay tribute to this, I will say, as gamers, and we're in the gaming industry with what we do in this podcast, I will say that we should definitely pay tribute to this game when it comes to, if it wasn't for games like this, we wouldn't have Halo. Excuse me, we wouldn't have Halo, we wouldn't have Call of Duty. I mean, it had to start somewhere. Doom was another, exactly. But then Doom, if it wasn't for Doom, we wouldn't have for sure those other ones. But it all starts somewhere, And I think that Contra was the first to kind of start off that like run and gun. Let's just get some action going, full gore, violence, whatever, whatever you wanted,
And there was no meaning. Like, what does Contra mean? Like, you just get this, but then you tell, people anywhere, and you're like, oh yeah, Contra. Like, that's not anything, but you immediately think a controller or a video game. But to me, it was just that, like, you could control like these characters, and it was just that. And we go back to what I was saying earlier. The sensitivity of it, like you would jump or you would turn left or you would go right, scroll up, whatever the case is, crouch.
Right.
It was just one of those, like, you had to do, you wouldn't like mash your buttons. Like on some games, you're like trying to jump and you're just not jumping unless that was like my remote control now. I just felt like I didn't have to overdo anything. It was just very like, it just answered whatever I said. Do it, jump, go. And it was like person jumped and it was this spinning jump that, they did a flip, but yeah, don't ever do that. It was just, And you could shoot and jump, right? Could you shoot and jump? And it would just
yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
As you jump into a ball, you're shooting these little pellets.
Yeah.
Which was kind of cool. So yeah, that'll do it, folks. We actually have a rating system, as you may or may not known with our show. It is a very sophisticated, very, very scientific, a very, very advanced rating system. And I'll tell you as it follows here. Here we go. First, to showcase it. That means you love it so much you want it on your wall.
Ooh.
Stream it or rent it. That would be, it's good, but not quite as good to take home. Or, God forbid, you do toilet paper, which means poo-poo.
Shit.
Means shit. So
Trash.
You got showcase it, stream it, / rent it, which means the same thing. Or toilet paper. That's our rating system here. And I'm going to start with Mr. Earl. Contra, 1987 for the NES. What do you give it?
To be honest, I will give it a showcase. I think it's up there. It definitely held its prestige playing it then and even still now. There are, and thinking about the games that came out of Contra itself and the franchise where they're growing, I would definitely showcase it. It's more personal than anything. I think there's just good memories that I've had playing the game, which is why I'm not gonna toilet paper it or stream it, because it's that I owned it as a kid. I would still, if I still had the original box, and that's really showcasing it, yeah, definitely there. But for now, I will showcase this game, and I'm glad we did this review. Damien, what do you rate this on our very sophisticated rating scale?
On this rating scale, I'm gonna go with, unlike you, I'm gonna go with showcase it. Just kidding.
Oh,
It is gonna be the same as you. I'm gonna say showcase it, and the
okay.
reason why, it's appreciated over time as far as the value. This is a game that you go back and it does have the complete nostalgic thrills. There's
Mhm.
very minimal things to complain about. One of them is the difficulty, and maybe second is the lack of pizzazz or dynamic
The
ending.
cheesiness
That's
factor,
that's
probably.
about it. Other than that, it is so much fun to pop this game in, whether you got the OG console or if you have it on your Switch. Get a
Yeah,
couple of buddies that are, old farts like me, and
right.
just have a couple beers, and this is the most fun you'll have all year long. Like that's
Well,
it.
and I'm sure they developed it later in the franchise, the storyline, the endings. Like that was one. They're just they put this game out there
Right.
for the masses, and it lacked that. But at the same point, it didn't need that. It didn't need a storyline. It
Right.
didn't need that like crazy ending where now you save the world, or it could have been that. Maybe they just were like, all right, cool. We're putting a run and gun shooter game out there, and they're gonna try to beat it, and it's hard as rock. So it's just yeah.
And this was in the age of 8-bit. There's no way
Yeah.
that there's
No.
only so much you could do with an ending. It's not like they could put in FMVs or anything. So,
Yeah.
that's very commendable what they did, and to
Was
get
it?
this done. And I'm
I think
really,
so.
really happy they did it.
So showcase for both of us.
Showcase for both of us. Tell us what you guys think. I would really like to hear more comments. Really appreciated hearing some of your guys' comments recently on the last episode. Please reach out again.
Yeah.
Message Earl or I. Before we go, Earl, where can folks find you?
They could find me on Instagram, Earl Lawrence. Actually, it's Hey Earl Lawrence.
Yeah, you got to throw in the hey.
Gotta throw in the hey. Earl Lawrence was already taken, so I got the Hey Earl Lawrence.
All right, you can find me at Damien
Where
underscore
can they find you,
DeCarlo.
Damien?
Damien underscore DeCarlo with an A, by the way, not an E. Someone did say that, and like, oh, that's because you didn't put an A. I am special. Otherwise, you can find us collectively at retro underscore game night on Instagram for all our posts about video games and cool collectibles. So until next time, keep calm. And what do we say, Earl?
Stay calm. Game on.
Game on.
It's game
Good night,
on.
everybody.
Laters. Not the chive.